Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we are back with another Kaisa supplementary guide, or rather really not another, but we did an updated complete guide on Kaisa, and this involved going for the full assassin build of going for Duskblade into Charge Blade and Magnetic Blaster just to get that burst of damage on your like first auto attack slash your combo. So today we're going to go for the alternative version, which is instead of going for Duskblade, we're going to go for Bloodthirster as a first item instead, and then we go for crit items into GA. So, pros and cons of the builds. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that earlier on in the later on in the gameplay. I guess you should say. But first, let's go over the build. So it's pretty straightforward. The first item we're gonna go for is gonna be Bloodthirster. Pretty much the best first item for a majority of ADCs. Gives you a lot of AD, physical vamp, as well as additional stats when you're high on health. Then we go for Gluttonous Greed, remembering to complete a first item before we go for boots, because on Kaisa you want to get your Q evolution as quickly as you can. And then after that you go for Charge Blade. Charge Blade of course gives you the attack speed, ability haste, as well as that burst damage. Whenever you cast your abilities, you're gonna get an extra end-powered auto attack to do extra magic damage. And then we have not Charge Blade, we have Blaster. Blaster of course gives you the additional attack speed again, but this time it gives you bonus range as well as the static shift effect. Now this one in this build, the purpose of it is more to get the burst damage itself rather than the range, but the range still comes in handy if you are in a situation where you are playing front to back. And then finally we of course go for the Mole Reminder, which is going to give us the armor pen as well as the grievous wounds. Of course we don't have space for IE in this build. You could go for it as your last item if you like to, but I think that in this particular build, GA is pretty much the best last item you can go for, because with this build you're jumping in a lot, and because of that, getting the revive is going to be very handy. So for the runes we go for Kraken Slayer. Gives us pretty much is the best, strongest early game rune, and with this kind of assassin build you want to snowball, and getting the early game damage from 3 stacks is really important. Brutal because of course you're an auto attacker as an ADC. Giant Slayer because it gives you the most damage in the slot, since majority of champions have some kind of bonus health. Alacrity for faster attack speed. Now honestly, both Alacrity and Bloodline are both sort of like, you can choose which one you want, because you already have 2 sources of healing here and you have 2 sources of attack speed here, so this one's really kind of whichever one you want. Then Bone Plating, we have it for the defensive capabilities. You could also go for sudden impact if you prefer that and want even more damage for the lethality when you hop in. Personally, I don't think it's necessary. I think bone plating is probably good enough in a sense that when you jump in, you don't want to get bursted down yourself, so you do want to have some kind of defensive capabilities. And finally, we have Flash and we have Exhaust. Of course, Kaisa are really good at 1v1ing people, especially with this build. You can jump in and assassinate someone, so having the Exhaust is really helpful, of course, to cut their damage and ensure you are the one getting the kill and not getting killed instead. But with all that out the way, let's jump into talking about our gameplay. Okay, so now we're jumping into the gameplay. Now honestly, with this kind of assassin style build on Kaisa, you want to have someone who can get you kills. So you want to have like a Leona, a Nautilus. In this case I have a Blitzcrank. You want some kind of engager support. You don't want an enchanter because you need someone to help you get kills. So that's kind of ideal. Of course enchanters still work, but that's not as ideal. Speaking of which, Blitzcrank goes in with the hook. I get the Q onto the Caitlyn. Caitlyn is forced to flash away, and I'm starting to trade with the Ashe. You have to take note here that both Caitlyn and Ashe have Kraken Slayer, so in long trades, we are going to lose, because Blitzcrank basically does no damage aside from when he actually hooks someone in for you to do the damage. But if we are stuck in a long trade, we're going to lose, because they have double ADC bot lane. Of course, Ashe support gets hooked in again, and is kind of in trouble. We flash forward to finish the kill. We exhaust Caitlyn and we're running her down as well. We hit the W. She's not at 1 HP, but we can't really reach her. She goes out. So super exciting bot lane. Blitzcrank dies to the minions while he's on the chase, and just like under a minute, all summoner spells in the bot lane have been blown. Now this is actually really beneficial for us, because if Blitzcrank lands a hook, it's likely that the person is gonna die because they can't escape because they don't have flash or ghost or heal for that matter. But also it's a little bit dangerous because Camille has insane range on her E, so if she comes in for a gank, it could be trouble. Speaking of hooks, Ashe gets hooked in again, and she's going to take another death. Blitzcrank with the fist to the face to finish the job. So I'm gonna quickly do a quick comparison between this build and the other build. Now both are meant to be assassin builds. So what are the pros and cons of the build? Well, basically the reason why I think the other build is better, the one that you go Duskblade first, is basically because if you start off with a Duskblade, you're gonna scale a lot more worse, but you're gonna get a lot more early game damage because Duskblade gives you more AD than Bloodthirster, and also gives you lethality, 18 lethality, which is the most in the game that obviously Bloodthirster does not give you. Now you're trading off your physical vamp for that, but in terms of actual damage, physical vamp doesn't actually help your damage at all. It just heals you. It doesn't actually do any extra damage. So with the Duskblade, you can snowball a lot harder simply because you do a lot more damage. And with Duskblade, Charge Blade, as well as Blaster, you're gonna do a lot more damage than if you had, Bloodthirster with the same two items. However, the trade-off is that when you hit like 4 or 5 items, Duskblade actually starts to fall off because the enemy team starts either buying armor or getting armor from their base stats. So what this means is that if they get armor for their base stats, or if they get armor, the Duskblade does a lot less damage because the lethality becomes ineffective damage. Now, although it still has 5 more AD than Bloodthirster, but Bloodthirster has physical vamp, and it does have the bonus stats when you're high on health as well. So overall, Bloodthirster is going to outscale Duskblade. So this build, the one that I'm going for this game, the Bloodthirster build, is still good and still has its place in the game. But I think that the main reason why I think Duskblade is better is just simply due to the fact that you can snowball harder and you can stomp harder. So if you get like 1 or 2 kills in the early game, you get your Duskblade, you can snowball the game out of control, and you can basically win the game before you even reach the point where Bloodthirster becomes better than Duskblade. Even if you do reach that point, it's just that Bloodthirster is better. It doesn't mean that Duskblade is bad. So if you have like a Duskblade at that point in the game, it's still fine. It's honestly not a big deal, so it still could work really well. So yeah, and I mean, enough about the build comparison. Now we're gonna jump back into the gameplay where, well, as I was explaining the build, we did take a death from a Twisted Fate roam. Honestly, we weren't paying close enough attention there, and the mid laner didn't ping. Honestly, majority of the time, I think more often than not, people don't really ping, so it's really kind of, you really kind of need to pay attention so you don't get caught off guard with random roams. So here, you can see after the initial few catches, not too many catching has been done because the enemy team has been playing relatively safe up till like basically a point where you're going to catch someone again basically. So of course, for now we have to be very patient. Sometimes Blitzcrank, with a Blitzcrank lane, it can seem like nothing is happening because they're not really catchable until it reaches a point where they make a mistake, they misstep one time, they get caught, and suddenly everything goes out of control. So something like this, Ashe steps in between the minions. I'm going to reposition here to ult over so I don't ult into the Caitlyn trap. Ashe is down. Now Caitlyn is now on the run. She's ghosting out again. We've seen this story before. But this time, Camille is in here. She misses the E onto me. I exhaust her. And Kayn is now in here for the trade. So here, Kayn is taking a lot of damage. He is able to get out with his flash. Knockup comes in from the Blitzcrank. Hook goes in on the Caitlyn, and Blitzcrank eats the root, but I can't finish the kill on Caitlyn because Camille is there, and I'm gonna end up dying. I end up dying anyway because Caitlyn has ult, but Camille somehow just jumps in, tanks the tower, and walks back through the tower and actually dies. Now I didn't actually pan the camera there because I was just not even expecting her to do that, but for some reason, instead of waiting for Caitlyn to push in the minions, she decides to just walk through the tower, tank 2 more tower shots, and just die. Like, I have no idea what she was thinking there. Maybe she just panicked. But yeah, I get another free kill because of that, and I'm certainly not gonna complain about it. So now Caitlyn is actually 3-0, so she has like 500 more gold than me, of course, mainly due to the plates, and like we're not really in the best position. So, we're gonna see how this works out. Now, I have to say that in games that you're not stomping and you're not so far ahead, going for Bloodthirster is definitely better than Duskblade because, as I said, Bloodthirster scales a lot better, whereas Duskblade is kind of the one you want when you want a snowball, which should be in the majority of matches if it goes well. So here we do that dragon for Herald trade. We get the dragon, whereas they get the Herald. Blitzcrank tries to land a hook at max range, doesn't quite work out. Unfortunately, so we're just going to have to wait for the hook to come back off cooldown. In the meanwhile, we're just getting a little bit of chip damage onto them, but you have to take note that both Ashe and Caitlyn outrange Kai'Sa, so it's really hard for me to get any kind of damage onto them without them damaging me even more. So here we're just picking up the minions, being sure not to push in the minions too much. Another hook goes wide. Speaking of going wide, the Ashe arrow goes wide as well. She launched it from far away enough that gave me enough time to react and sidestep. Even though technically her path was correct, Caitlyn gets hooked in to into the tower, and I exhaust the Ashe trying to save the Blitzcrank's life. Unfortunately, Ashe still finishes the kill, but I am able to get the double, and with Camille on the way at the Crux and Twisted Fate on the ulti, I'm going to quickly just back and recall. Twisted Fate actually ults the mid lane, so now that I know it's only Camille, I feel a bit more confident to just go up and clear this wave, pushing it in fully before we get off the reset. I believe I can 1v1 Camille. I wouldn't say easily, but I can 1v1 Camille at this point. She's not really the most fed, and I already have one full item at that point. Now I have one full item with boots and half of a second item, so definitely I think I could 1v1 Camille at that point in time. I also did not even ult in the double kill exchange, so I still have my ult as well. So with the extra shield and such, there's no way I lose 1v1 a Camille, so not too scared of her. So here Ashe and Caitlyn have pushed in the wave. We're just going to clear it up. And we're kind of just back to laning. Nothing too interesting is really happening here. Blitzcrank is hiding in the bush, waiting to get a catch onto Ashe. Hook goes in onto the Ashe. I'm going in for the damage. I ult over to finish the kill onto her. And now I'm trying to fire in on Caitlyn, but unfortunately, Caitlyn's under tower, so we're not going to be able to really finish her off. Blitzcrank tries another sneaky hook, but doesn't quite connect. Here I get a Q onto the Caitlyn. Blitzcrank goes in for the knock-up into the Ignite, and Kayn finishes the job. So quite nice what happened there. That was an insane play by Blitzcrank. Like he was just 1 HP, but she still flashed in for the knock-up. Garen comes in to defend the tower. I'm just getting a little bit of free damage onto him, trying to proc the passive, but he goes out of range. So since we can't really get the tower or anything like that, we're just going to farm the minions, push in the wave, and then look for another reset, because with the goal we have now, we probably can complete our Charge Blade. There we go, getting our E evolved. Now of course, with Kai'Sa you always want to max and evolve your Q first, and then followed by maxing and evolving your E, and finally your W. So here we see a fight happening in mid lane. Everyone's at mid lane, so we're going to run straight to mid lane. Fight's already of course ongoing. I'm just going to get rid of this tower so that we have more fighting power. We are almost able to finish the Garen. Garen's like 1 HP, but I can't ult in because the whole enemy team is there. I eat a Caitlyn ult, and Twisted Fate is actually ulting, so we have to kind of run for the hills because we don't know where he's going to appear. He could come behind us on the flank and we would have nowhere to run. Although we do still have ult, so if we auto attack and ult to the other side of the Twisted Fate that's behind us, we probably can get out. So anyways, we're just going to go back to base and go back to the top lane. Now we could walk to top from mid. So I don't know why I decided to go base here, considering I couldn't actually buy anything, but I guess it was just on instinct. So here, they're pushing in the tower, and I'm here by myself, so I'm not really going to walk up or anything like that. I'm just going to wait for the minions to come in, clear the minions, and then clear the next wave as well. The dragon is coming up in like 10 seconds, so it is the next objective that teams want to take note of. Here I'm backing because I probably can get some item before the dragon spawns. I actually get the QSS, and the QSS is really important here, mainly because there is a stun card from Twisted Fate and there is an arrow from Ashe. So getting the QSS to cleanse the CC is actually really important, and I decided to get it after completing my second item, just so that I have that extra layer of safety and the ability to remove CC so I can actually do damage instead of just getting stuck in the CC and dying. So here dragon has spawned and everyone is sort of making their way to the area, both on my team and the enemy team, except the top laners who's having a 1v1 at the top lane to no one's surprise. Put down the control ward. I'm just starting the dragon because nothing else is really happening. Ashe arrow comes in, as well as the Caitlyn now onto the Blitzcrank, not a very valuable target. Ahri somehow gets chunked nearly 100 to 0. Caitlyn gets hooked in, I burst her down together with Ahri. Now we're focusing the Camille, who ults the 1 HP Blitzcrank. We finish off the kill onto the Camille, and we exhaust the Ashe, who's actually doing a lot of damage. She goes down, and Twisted Fate's the last man standing. I'm gonna flash forward, finish the kill with the ulti as well, and we get the triple. This fight made us really fed actually, because we got the triple, and now we're gonna get the dragon as well. with the Bloodthirster, we should be able to sustain through getting the Dragon. The Dragon actually does a decent amount of damage, especially when you're the only one tanking it. But here we are able to finally get the Dragon. And now we're going to clear out this wave. Aatrox comes in to try to steal the wave from us, then he decides not to afterwards. He can probably get the next wave if it's there on the tower. We're gonna back and spend the gold we got from all of those kills, getting both of our component items for the magnetic blaster.
Enemy turret destroyed.
So here we reset. We're just gonna head over to mid. We're just looking. Honestly, we're just looking for something to do. We want to stay like in the mid lane so we can reach anywhere, especially because Baron is out. We don't want to be in the top lane. So Aatrox being in the top lane is actually a really good thing, because then he has it covered and we don't actually have to be there. He's flashing on top of the Ashe, trying to get the kill onto her under the tower, and looks like he is going to be successful. Speaking of which, Blitzcrank is successful in grabbing the hook. I'm going to QSS the stun from the Twisted Fate, and Camille's the next target. Blitzcrank lands an insane hook onto the Camille to pull him back, and Garen is now the next target, but he's a really tanky guy. You can see he's barely taking any damage from me, so yeah, I'm gonna walk back through the tower. I tanked like 2 tower shots, but that's fine. There's a fruit right there for me to restore my health, and we're gonna just whack the tower and secure this tier 2 mid lane tower. So in the meantime, Ahri is actually going for the tier 2 bot lane tower, and doesn't really look like she needs that much help. So I'm just gonna check the enemy jungle. Nothing there, so we're just gonna reset instead and complete our magnetic blaster, which definitely we have enough gold for it at this point in time. There we go. So obviously, on triple item power spike as well as the triple ability evolved is where Kai'Sa really shines. So now we're kind of just looking for people to assassinate. Now we're actually really fed. Now we're 11, 2, and 3, so we're in a really fed state, and we can pretty much assassinate anyone on the bot side of the map, and by that I mean Twisted Fate, Ashe, as well as Caitlyn. Obviously we're not going to be assassinating a Garen with Hullbreaker and Heartsteel, or a Camille who actually has defensive items now. She has a Randuin's Omen. You can see that the Randuin's Omen is actually reducing my damage by quite a bit. Garen is now the next target. I'm just going to free fire on him because his team, no one is actually hitting. He's just taking damage for free. Camille goes in with the ult, which isolates herself as well, so I get the double onto Camille. Going on to the next target here, I actually pick up a quadra kill, and could have been Penta if Aatrox didn't kill. I think it was Twisted Fate fast enough. But with that, here my thought process in the game was we can end the game here because they're all dead and we have a mid lane wave. However, the issue is that there is a Nexus shield. So honestly, I felt that we could have tried. Like 15 seconds for respawn with me and Ahri, we could have actually tried. But since Ahri did not want to try, I'm just going to back off because I definitely can't end the game by myself. So here my team is pinging for Baron. The enemy team is only now just respawning, so doing Baron now is risky to a certain extent because they can just all run here, but at the rate we're doing it, they probably can't reach. Twisted Fate tries to come in with the ulti and actually nearly gets the steal. And here we are able to just one-shot him basically. Ashe Arrow comes in on me. I don't QSS that because there's no threat. And Camille now just jumping in 1v5. She dies as well, of course. And we're able to get the reset and complete our moral reminder, as well as starting to build towards our GA. So now 4 items, 100% crit. We're going to start hurting like a truck, although we technically already did always hurt like a truck. So only Garen and the bot lane is left. So my team is starting to push in waves. Now here, I'm pushing in the side wave, but I shouldn't really be the one to push in the side wave. It should be someone else from my team, because I do have to be with my team if they fight, because I'm the most fed member on the team and I do the most damage, and also the ADC. So I need to be with my team to do the damage, which is why I'm kind of just walking mid to try kind of join them in case a fight breaks out. As I do that, Ahri now rotates to where I was to instead start to push in the lane there. So I could have actually just stayed there considering a fight did not break out. But you know how solo queue works, a fight always breaks out for some reason. So here I'm free firing onto the Garen. I QSS the Ashe Arrow because I don't know if anyone's actually going to follow up. So I'm better to be safe than sorry. Speaking of Ashe, I'm going to finish her off with an auto attack and then ult onto Camille to finish her off next. And only Twisted Fate and Caitlyn are left. So here, Aatrox tries to run straight in onto them, but he's tanking the tower, so that's not really going to work. He tanks a Caitlyn ult, barely takes damage from it. Twisted Fate tries to come in with a stun card. I'm going for my full burst combo. I land the W to get the kill onto him, and Caitlyn nearly actually kills me. So I'm gonna have to run away on 1 HP, and I'm just gonna lifesteal off of these minions a little bit, pick up the fruit, and dragon is up. So this is actually mountain dragon soul for us, although that's the worst soul, but it's better than giving the enemy team a dragon and giving them a bounty. So here I'm just going to attack the dragon, and at this point in time I do enough damage that I actually heal off of the dragon instead of actually taking damage from it. You can see that here we're basically healing off of the dragon to like nearly full health. So now we're gonna actually recall and see if we can complete our GA. If we can, that would be really good. There we go, GA has been completed. So now with the GA, the way I like to see it is two ways. Either number one, you have an extra life, or number two, because you have an extra life, you can play super recklessly. So I prefer to go with option number two, which is I just play very recklessly when I have GA. So we're gonna see how that kind of strategy works out. So here I'm honestly thinking we can probably force the game if my team groups up. So here Ari and Kayn are trying to find a pick here onto Camille. We finish the kill onto her. Caitlyn's doing a lot of damage. We ult in anyway with the GA, and we actually finish the kill on Caitlyn while we're on 1 HP, and we get the revive. And now our team is just cleaning up the rest while we clear up the minions and heal ourselves back up as well. So the issue is we don't have a wave. Only Garen and Ashe are left alive. Garen is kept busy by the Aatrox, so we only really need to deal with the Ashe, and then we can just end the game. Garen is not going to be able to recall because of the Aatrox. So here I'm just going to quickly clear out the minions and just end the game. Ashe gets hooked and charmed, and we're going to finish a free kill onto her, and then we end the game. So with all that, we've come to the end of the gameplay. I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.